I want to talk a little bit about the other side of investing, okay? And making sure that you've got a good plan in place for when you're not here. Estate planning is a really hard thing to do, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but I just want to go over a couple things about this because I think it's really important. Warren Buffett has so many great lines, but Warren Buffett's, he's 83 years old. He calls himself a long-term investor, 83 years old, and he's a long-term investor. And Buffett said, he says, hey, it's going to happen. I'm going to die. He says, it's going to happen. He says, the only thing I want to know is where I'm going to die, and then I just won't go there. So, okay. Seems to make good sense to me. But the fact of the matter is, you've really got to have a plan in place. I have a good friend of mine who has two young daughters, 10 and 8, I think, right now. And he said, I have no idea who these girls are going to marry, but I already don't like the guys, okay? And he said, because, I want to protect what I've worked very hard for them from some guy coming in and just running amok with the money. I want to make sure that that can't happen. So you have to kind of think about how are you going to set up things for after you're gone. Now, I'm not an attorney, and you need to talk to attorneys about this, but you've got a lot of choices. You got 3 choices, basically. You can do nothing. Just don't do a darn thing. And that's fine, because the county of San Diego will then determine who gets your money, because it will go through a probate process, which will take a long time, and it's very, very expensive. But they'll do that, and ultimately it'll probably go where you want it to go. Okay. The other is to have a will. A will is a very good document. It is recognized by the courts, and your assets again will go through probate, go through the court process. A very expensive, long process, but it will ultimately go as your will designates, and it is a very public event. Okay, anybody can go to the courthouse. They don't even have to go to the courthouse anymore. They can go onto the county website and see your will. Okay, once it's filed with the courts, it becomes a public document, and it will show every asset that you own and every liability that you have. Okay, now a lot of people will sit there and just look at the obituaries, and they'll see somebody has died, and they'll look at that person and say, based upon their life, I think they got some money. So let's go check them out, okay? And so they're going to find out if you have a will, and if you do, they're going to see it right there, and they're going to start planning on how they're going to get that money out of your hands. So be very careful. Third option is a trust, a living trust. A living trust is a private document. It takes place immediately upon your death, almost immediately. There is one small amount of paperwork that in order to put it into action, they have to have a certified copy of the death certificate, but that's it. And then the money will be distributed as you suggest it, not all at one time, but as you want it distributed over a period of time. And you'll appoint successor trustees to run that estate for you. So you've got those choices there. There are a whole lot of other fine-tuning things in there, but it's really important that you at least, bite the bullet and get ready and start thinking about it and doing some things. I always go back to the horror of 9/11 when those people were killed in those terror attacks. Most of the people who worked in the World Trade Center were young people. They were living life large. They were having a lot of fun. They were working in the most exciting place on the face of the earth. They were making truckloads of money, and they thought they were going to live forever. Okay, and so when there were a number of things that happened. When the attacks occurred, and I hate to be so graphic, but the attacks were so violent that many of those people were not able to be declared dead for years because there were no bodies left. Okay, so they couldn't. Their beneficiaries, their wife and their children and their husbands and children, couldn't access all the money that was in their 401k, probably millions of dollars in their 401ks, but they couldn't get to that money because remember, it is an individual account. It isn't owned by 2 people. It's owned by the one person, and other people cannot access that money until it is properly distributed. However, if a small little step had been taken to have a financial power of attorney in place, which is a document you can download off any website, and put that in place, the spouse and the children would have had access to that money. So just simple things like that are really important for you to kind of keep in mind and to follow through with along the way. And you'll get a tremendous amount of peace of mind from doing it. You really will get a tremendous amount of peace of mind. There's a lot of good books out there. I'm a big fan of Dummies books. I think Dummies books are really great. And all of their books on investing, personal finance for dummies, mutual funds for dummies, stocks for dummies, all this stuff. They're great books. And what's great is they actually have a sort of a sense of humor about them. They're kind of fun to read, and unlike most investing books are pretty dry. But estate planning book, Estate Planning for Dummies is a great book. And there's a publishing company called Nolo Press, N-O-L-O, and their website is nolo.com. They write self-help legal books for people. And a lot of stuff is on their website. You don't need to buy the book, but a lot of good information about creating a trust and stuff like that is on there. So those are good websites, and you can get a lot of information. You should use an attorney. You can go to places like LegalZoom.com to create your own trust if you were so inclined, or you can go to an attorney. I always encourage people to get a referral from the Bar Association, either the San Diego Bar Association or the North San Diego County Bar Association. They will give you a referral to an estate planning attorney for a free consultation. They won't charge you to come in and just talk to them, and they'll give you some guidance and see where you go from there. So I don't like, and it's always depressing, I don't like talking about that stuff that much, but I think it's really, really important to talk about.